down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Hey, you tuned in to the Savvy Radio Show. This is your friend, Steve VanCauwenbergh. Bang, bang. SavvyInvestors.com, Savvy Radio Show, Savvy Podcast. It's all the same. It's a show to bring value and encouragement in your life. And somebody out there needs to hear this. You're doing a good job, and I'm proud of you. And what am I proud of you for? You're listening in because you want to be educated. And maybe you're a little bit of a drama queen like myself. It just seems like all the crazy nuances that goes on in my little world of real estate investing. I had a homeboy text me the other day, hey man, I heard that Family Dollar episode and I had anxiety. And I just started laughing. I'm like, it just feels like that's every day in my life. And if it's every day in my life, it's got to be intense in your life as well. And I just want to give you some encouragement and say, yes, you're doing it because you're fighting, you're grinding, you're doing it every day. And I hope that this episode today will shed some light. And also to let you know that I am not the best and smartest person on the planet. And we'll just start right off the gate with this one. So I just want to say I'm proud of you for getting it done, grinding it out. But this just happened to me, and I was like, man, I need to do a podcast on there because I'm human. All right. And there's no excuses. So we're just going to come out right out the gate. I was criticized the other day. And it hasn't happened in a while. Maybe I'm in another world, but this is a real deal, true story. We'll start this off with what I'm learning right now, number one. And criticism does hurt, but it helps. All right. So I do sales in the accounting firm that I'm a part of, and I'm honored to be a part of that accounting firm. And, a lot of people need their taxes done. A lot of people are all over the place in their business and just high level complexity and simplicity. It's all over the place. And so I have communicated from the superstar, multi, zillionaire that needs his taxes done all the way down to an individual that hasn't done their taxes in a couple years and they're 21 years old and they need help. So my client base at this time at my position covering the sales position has been interesting. And I've been having some really good success connecting with folks and just helping people with their tax returns and so on and so forth. So I'm kind of setting this up for you. But I had a call with an individual and I sent her our pricing and what we can do to offer her. And she quickly responded, maybe like that afternoon, or actually I sent the email at 1:00 one day. And she replied back at 3 a.m. that day. And so the next day I looked at the email and this is what it said. It goes, thank you for your time today. I'm interviewing other services and plan on using one of them. Sent on her cell phone. I don't know if it was late in the morning. And I was like, it seemed relatively quickly. And I responded. And so I knew something was up, right? This is where you got to trust what's inside of you to become better. What's inside of you to become better. And so I was like, I'm going to reply back and I go, hi. I didn't say hi. I go, I appreciate the prompt response. Can you give me a reason why you already decided to use one of them? Your response is greatly appreciated. Now, this is crazy. So I opened myself up for a punch in the face. And this is awesome. This is what she said. I wouldn't say this is awesome, but I'm just saying this is what you need to hear. She said, I did not have a positive interaction with you and felt you were condescending. Even though it's my husband's company, I'm handling all the paperwork and I wouldn't be able to work with you, blank. And I was like, wow, that literally just smashed me in the face, right? And I could just, I'm like, how do I respond to that? And so this is my true response. I go, I appreciate your honesty and accept it. And I see your perspective. No excuses. I will work on my approach and tone. Thank you. Now, you as a human being, we just want to just retaliate and respond or react. I guess most people, and and me too, I wanted to react and say, you don't know me, and I had a bad day that day, and whatever. But she had some valid points, and I just had to think, it affected me for a couple of days. Because I don't know if you listened to a podcast a long time ago, one of my friends said that you were condescending, and I realized that I need to raise up my game, that I need to slow down, I need to check myself, and just, I agree with what she's saying. I got caught off guard. I was in a hurry. She was already kind of had a rush attitude, and there is no excuse. I could have slowed down. I could have delivered my message a little bit better and not talked. I cut corners, and I got slapped in the face. And now this is about a couple of days ago. Actually, I'm reading this text email right now. That was 2 days ago. So I'm a little bit healed from my little wound, but it just brought me. And after that, I got that message, and I was like, man, I need to tell people that I'm human, and I'm sorry that I'm ever condescending. And I think I get that way when I'm like, there's no excuse. It's like, I want us to become better. And I was cut in a corner. I should have just slowed down. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, to check yourself. What is the benefit, and what am I saying to this individual? What am I trying to communicate? She definitely read my personality, because I was in a hurry. No excuse. I knew exactly what she was saying. I may have cut her off, or I may just assume that she would know, because she gave me some information that she was a cost accountant in the communication that we were communicating on. So I don't know. I admit, I take it, no excuses. And it'll be interesting that maybe one day that I would work with this individual and fail on my world, and I will become better. So criticism hurts, but it also helps. Now, this is like the last time someone told me that, and I'm glad that they did. That was like almost 15 years ago. And sometimes you just need to be brushed up, slapped in the face, and say, hey, you ain't perfect, VanCauwenbergh. I know I'm not perfect. And you are human, and you may be stepping on people's toes because you're not paying attention. Woo, come on. Talk to me, Holy Spirit. Tell me what I need to learn, because I thought I was doing good. I mean, and I'm telling you, when I'm moving too fast and I'm tired and I'm trying to fit all this stuff in and I drop my guard, I wasn't a professional salesperson at that specific moment. I regret it. And I'm going to move on. Number 2. Okay, so I'm in the middle of this Family Dollar deal, and I'm going over this intense lease. And you listened to the episode a couple weeks ago. I'm on it, and I had to hire another attorney, la-da-da-da-da, and I learned something about who drafts the lease. So I've been analyzing this lease, and it came across like I'm trying to figure out loopholes. How can I get out of this lease? It is nerve-wracking. It is all for them. There's so much just ambiguity. I can't say that word right. Just interpretation. And coming across an attorney, and he clarified, yes, whoever drafted that lease, it falls on them. So I thought that if there's like a kind of a conflict, I thought that was interesting. So, I usually thought that, I'm the dominator. I need to create this lease. Sometimes you can hold people to a gangster lease because they drafted it, and it could be advantageous for you. Anyway, that's just something I just learned. That means yes or no to some people. Number 3, be on the ball. Yes, we just heard from number 1, I fail in my mind, but you need to be on your A game. And I'm dealing with the Family Dollar again. It's just, I'm working on this thing night and day. And the lease says, again, it's another lease conflict. It says you need to have these 3 policies, and it needs to kind of be in your name, the investor, landlord's name, and they need to add Family Dollar as a beneficiary. It's written very unique. And I copied and pasted that, sent that to my insurance agent. I'm like, hey, you got to get this done. These are the parameters. These are requirements I have in my lease. I've got to uphold this lease to the full 100. There is no variation. And he's like, hey, this is kind of weird that you're asking that it's going to be in your name, but they benefit. And of course for the structure, but for the liability purposes for the parking lot and the easement. So Family Dollar is requiring full replacement value on the structure. They are requiring like a high 2 million, 4 million on the parking lot for an occurrence or bodily injury or any kind of liability, and also the easements as well. So it's like triple double. I'm like, okay. hey, it's a triple net lease. You're going to pay for this. I'll get the super duper best insurance on the planet. But the wording in the lease states, hey, basically it's in your name and they benefit. So if I get sued, and I found out with another attorney I spoke with, this is like my third attorney. And, if you ever have a liability case, they're going to name everybody on the planet, the next door neighbor, you, the pencil, you name it, the paint, whatever. Okay. But this is what I was interesting. So, and I learned this other caveat is like, you can hold people to accountability, AKA the tenant, in this triple net crazy lease if they have done business as usual. And I was like, what? What's business as usual? Like, if they've already been paying and they've already received this insurance policy, and they've been paying for it, and you keep on doing business just like that, it's doing business as usual. They've accepted it before. Why not they have accepted it before, even if it's changed hands? I was like, okay, I'm great. So I call the realtor, yo, I need the insurance that they have on the building ASAP. I need to see the policy. My insurance agent needs to see a policy. You need to get that to me ASAP during our due diligence process. He's like, here you go, Mr. VanCauwenbergh. Here's your insurance. So I forward, not paying attention. This is what the point is. Number 3 here, be on the ball. You got to be on your A game. So I get this insurance deck sheet. I forward it to my insurance agent. He's like, hey, man, this is completely wrong. He's like, this is nothing to the degree of what you're asking me to write for this new acquisition. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. And so I had to call back the realtor and say, hey, man, this insurance that you sent me is not even lined up to the lease. Basically, your landlord or your seller, however you want to phrase it, is in default. So he goes back, and I'm telling you, this is the whole process of this off-the-chain acquisition. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is the response from the realtor. Oh, yeah, the seller knew he was selling the building, and this is just temporary insurance. Now, here's the point. If I wasn't on the ball, if I didn't have a good insurance agent, if I didn't take full responsibility, I could have just rolled with that insurance. Let's say it's a half the policy. I could have been in default. I could have been in a lawsuit because I wasn't doing my part of this crazy lease. So that's the point. That's what I just learned. I'm thinking business as usual. Everything's flowing back and forth. Hey, we got their blank. My insurance agent. But see, the document that they sent me, trust, but for dripple, dipple, verify. And that's what I learned. Be on the ball. You got to be on your A game. And since I'm trying to be on my A game and I'm tired and I'm getting beat up and I'm getting to the left, to the right, my staff to the left, to the right, I'm ducking, dodging. You might have to sleep. You might have to rest for 2 days and then come back. Be on the ball, whatever it takes. Number 4, I just learned this the other day. Building relationships are important. How do you really do it? So I'm in another acquisition. I was scheduled for an appraisal. Bang. Appraisal's at 12:30. I meet this appraiser dude. Really nice guy. Rolls up in this super blinged out Raptor truck. I'm like, dang, okay. $80,000 truck. He's an appraiser. I'm like, work must be great. So he's walking through the building. Everything's going great. We're talking. I'm like, hey, I'm kind of dropping nuggets on this dude. Hey, and this is what I recommend. You should always meet an appraiser. Clarify. I'm telling you, this appraiser that I'm working with, this is a new development that I'm working on. And you've got to spoon feed people to a degree where it's not overly like advert, like you're trying to do something. But I've sent the guy the site plan. I've sent him the appraisal for the dirt. I need these to appraise because this is an acquisition and this is a future project that I'm going to duplicate. So I was like, Johnny on the spot there, 12:15. Dude shows up on time. We walk through the thing. I don't know him from Adam. It was a great experience, right? I'm like, hey, it needs to appraise for this. I emailed your staff some other details that, visuals, concepts, renderings. Hey, this is what's going to look like. These are the tenants that we got in here. This is the soft yeses we have. Hey, basically, this is what this mother needs to appraise for. And Nina's like, normal appraiser. Hey, yeah. Okay, I get it, And I'm cool. And I'm done. Seriously, the dude walked through the project, 15, 20 minutes. He's did his job. It's freezing outside. hey, we're going to roll out. And then, man, there's something that just prompted me. And I just started talking about his truck. And, it really kind of turned him on. Now, you could say, VanCauwenbergh, your motive was wrong. You're trying to juice this dude up. Hey, it may have been. I don't know why I did that. I'm not about driving around in a Bentley, and for sure I'm driving around in a 7-year-old truck. I'm serious. If you really knew me, listen. But I was like, hey man, this is sick, and I was genuinely interested in this truck. Now my devious hustle mind was like, man, maybe I'm buttering this dude up. I don't know, Satan trying to attack me. But I just was genuine. I'm like, tell me about this truck, why you got this truck. And I just connected with this dude for about 2 minutes. And honestly, I'm like, he's got to go, I got to go. And I was like, man, see you later. All right. In my mind, nothing came from that until 5 minutes later. I'm on my phone, figuring out what I'm going to go do, where am I going to go, what appointment I got, how far is it going to take me to get to the office. Dude walks up to my truck. I'm like, oh no, something's wrong. I roll my window down, my car's running, my truck's running. Hey, you mountain bike? I'm like, oh, man, I'm an avid mountain biker. What's up? And he said he just got into it. And he was kind of like, not forward, but he's like, hey, let's ride some time. I was like, hey man, you ever heard of Skip Park in Midwest City? Next thing you know, dude, we became friends. And it's just relationships. See, my motive at first was like, is this wrong? Is this the wrong approach? But no, that's how you do it. You be authentic, you be genuine, and you got to make effort. You got to put the time in. And it just works. And people ask me all the time, how do you get deals? And I'm telling you, all the last couple of deals that I'm in right now that are just deals I thought I would never do have just materialized through building relationship, just being who I am, just, hey, I'm a mountain biker. And I wish everybody was a mountain biker to the degree where I have a backup medium-sized mountain bike for folks that don't have bikes and they want to ride and experience the thrill that I experience riding on the trail. So if you want to be a friend, you want a mountain bike, hey, let's do this. Let's connect. Number 5, PUD, P-U-D. I didn't know this. So I know if you talked to me a while back, I got burned in this Chattanooga deal. I don't know if I mentioned that before. I wouldn't say burn. I don't know, but it didn't go down right. And I kind of just shut down all developments at that time. And I really kind of just said, hey, who am I and why do I need to buy property outside of state? And it's a long story. If you know me intimately, we could cover it. If you have some details, if you want to know more about this, let me know. But it's just a good lesson that I learned, a wonderful opportunity. It was painful, but I got through it. And it only took 3 months and about a lot of attorney fees. But it was a process, and I had some wonderful people pick me up and carry me. And you know who you are, and I thank you for being on my side. So long story short, now I'm in, and I thought I would never, I made the vow that day that I'm not going to build. I realized if you're going to be a developer or you're going to build, it is a skill set that I tried to jump in and got stung. I tried to figure it out. I've been through 3 general contractors, and it has not gone down the way I thought or wish it would have went down. And so I basically said, hey, I don't have the capacity. I really like coaching and doing this podcast and doing network events and just growing people in my business. I'm not going to be a developer. I really told myself that. And I was just like, I can't commit. If I want to be a developer, I'm going to put the work in. Just like the decisions hopefully that you will make in your life, when you commit, you need to be 120. I remember when I heard about Jesus for the first time and, accept him as a savior, I was like, man, it took me a whole year. I went to church for a whole year, and every Sunday, pretty much at a Baptist church, I heard, come on down, accept Jesus as your savior. I was like, nope. I'm like, Jesus, is this my time? I'm serious. It took me a whole year. And when I committed to Jesus, July 29th, 1991, I'm 100. Like, I love Jesus. Like, that's just I couldn't be where I'm at today. If you knew me when I was a teenager, when I was on the street hustling, and know where I'm at today, you would not believe I should be dead by now. And it's just that's what God can do for you. That's what God did for me. And so when I made that decision, I'm like that now. And when I got burned 3 times in this development before, I can't do this on my own. I tried to get a homeboy number 1 friend. He was like, I'll build it with you. I know how to do it. And then he bounced on me in the middle of the project. And I was like, oh. And number 2, dude, I thought I met this superstar rock star guy, and then his prices were 3 times higher. Boom, slapped in the face. And then another person came in my world, and he just didn't seem motivated. And I was like, man, I cannot. There's so much to learn. I can't figure out all this, Jess. Can I do it? Absolutely. But my goal is, am I committed? And that's the big question. Are you really committed? You know, I was looking into a dumpster business. Am I going to be committed in running that? Nope. So I had to drop it. What am I committed to? I'm committed to my clients that I coach. I'm committed to the podcast, but I'm not committed to development. But when I finally, I guess, laid that on the ground, that burden, I thought I needed to build. I bought this land. I put this land up for sale. And I thought I was like, hey, I'm just going to sell this land. I'm going to move on. I got a 5-year plan. And then I met the right person at the right time when I thought I was not going to do it. And then I connected with these 2 dudes, and their skill set matches my skill set. They're really good at development. They're really good at details. They're decent, I would assume, on raising money, because it's not easy raising money for a construction project, and they raise the money. And I'm fortunate to kind of get in and learn the nuance, and that we've agreed to move on to another project. Wow. And through that process, I learned about PUD, a planned unit development. So, and it's commonly it's a community of single family homes and sometimes condos or townhomes where every homeowner belongs to the ownership, also known as a HOA. So when you have condos you're building, or let's say apartment building of sorts, and not apartment building per se, but like condos, you're going to have a planned unit development, and you got to get it from the city. So, hey, that's what you just learned. So next time you're hey, did you get the PUD? And I was like, when the developer was coaching me, and we're gearing up to break ground here pretty soon, which is, the timetable is always longer than you think it is. I'm thinking we're going to start tomorrow. We're like 3 months out. I'm like, wow. Or even 6 months. Wow. Material changes in a day. Wow. So it's just a lot of things I'm learning. I'm glad that patience and due diligence and just being ready, and the opportunity is going to come. So that's number 5. I learned about PUD, and I'm still learning. Number 6, if you're going to raise money or sell an idea or even be a leader, this is what's going on. This is a friend of mine, and every time I talk to him, I don't understand what the blank this dude's telling me. Like, he'll say stuff, and I'm like, are you asking me for money? Or are you asking me for an opinion? Or you need help here? I mean, I'm not joking. When I'm interacting with this individual, I'm like, dude, you're all over the place. And I remember as a young lad, a lot of people would say that about me. And I was like, man, like either they thought I was on crank or I had ADD, and my mind just moved so fast. So I just blew it off. I never really took that. But I finally met someone in my world that does that a lot. And like, I've known this dude for about 3 years. I'm like, man, I never understand what that blank you're telling me. I mean, like half of me, I thought it was my terrible personality, like get to the point. But I realized God showed me, if you want to raise money or motivate people or even help people or ask for help, you've got to slow down and articulate what you're saying. And I'm telling you, that's just happened to me. I'm in a lot of transactions right now that I would never thought. I mean, one email can be worth $1 million of I'm asking for funding from a bank, from a private lender. And I realized I normally would just hit send. And I have noticed in the last couple of weeks that I have paused and reread my email, and I've at least 100 times, that's exaggerate, at least 10, 20 times, I'm like, damn, thank God I didn't send that email. I sounded like an idiot. Or, man, I'm so thankful I didn't send that email, because what in the world am I trying to say? And that's the point I'm trying to tell you. Review, slow down, and go over it. And I'm telling you, go over it again. And what are you saying? Like, what is your goal and what is your benefit for the person that's receiving this message? So if I'm asking you for money, I'm going to have kind of a scope of work, or what am I trying to articulate? And it's very interesting. And this just recently happened to me where I was trying to loan this dude some money, and a friend was a referral. He contacted me and he wanted to borrow $250,000 or 200 something thousand. And that's kind of a big loan in my mind. So I was like, but hey, it was a good referral. And I was like, hey, no problem. Fill out the form. So I got this. If you want to borrow money from my organization, you got to fill out this form for many reasons. It's just a system that we've created. And so he filled out the form. Great. In passing, he fills out the form and he fills out 2 houses on here. Okay, great. Double collateral in my mind. And, this individual's out of state, so I'm a little nervous. And so I call my homeboy. I'm like, hey, what's going on with this dude? Oh, he wants to borrow $400. What? So my general manager that handles the underwriting emails the person and doesn't communicate. And I'm like, so I'm like, hey, now I just lowered it from 250 down to 200 for that concern. And I'm like, hey, we can loan him 200. And here's the point. It was so much confusion between my homeboy, the dude borrowing the money, and miscommunication. And so eventually, after I spent some time on this loan, looking at this loan, and I probably would have loaned this dude money, but he was so unorganized, so miscommunicated. He asked for $250, then he asked for $400, but didn't tell us, and it was all over the place. Slow down. If you're raising money or selling your idea or being an entrepreneur or being a leader, you've got to articulate what you're saying. And I'm only speaking to myself, ladies and gents. I've been stung in this area, and I've just been the first time I've come across somebody that I don't want to write that individual off. There's someone else out there. And, a lot of people on the flip side, I'm going to just caveat into something else. There's another friend of mine that's always analysis paralysis. And he finally called me and he's like, hey man, what do I need to say in this email? And I was like, this one line, hey, I have this opportunity. This is the scope. This is what I want to do. 2 lines. He's like, man, I've been wasting 30 minutes trying to draft this elegant email to get my point across. You don't need to draft it. What do you want to know? How much you want to borrow? What are you trying to do? And what's the benefit? Okay, I should have wrote that down. I don't even know what I just said. But you get me? You feel me? What's the benefit for that person? Why you're trying to do what you're doing? And then hit send and review the email or the communication or your PowerPoint. And I love this with my wife. She's in another arena. She's not even in my circle. And when I try to articulate, hey, I'm working on this new thing, this new real estate thing I'm trying to do to cultivate and a mastermind, and this is my agenda. This is one. And when I just quickly articulate to her, she'll ask me some key questions. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. You might want to try that with one of your homeboys or your spouse. Before you try to ask for money or before you try to build a new development, don't take someone else's advice. Slow down and take a pen to a pencil, pen's paid to the paper, whatever, and just start drafting this out. This is what I've been doing lately. Number 7. QR codes are the phenomenal future. You know that. And, I've been doing a lot of mixing, network mixers, events, just trying to drum up stuff, opportunities, deals, funding. And I found this awesome, I know there's people who have this app called Blink, and you could, I don't like that. There's this website that I found that you could create any kind of QR code for anything. Like I made a QR code the other day that goes right to my Wi-Fi connection and automatically inputs the password. I mean, and I don't know if this generated this code, but I found that somehow, but it's QR-code-generator.com. And I've used this for networking that I created a CV code, a V card for so it automatically populate in someone's card. So when you scan, if I see you in the public, and like, hey, I want your contact, and I give you my barcode, that barcode won't go to a website, won't go to Blink, won't go to some flumpy app. It will go right to your contacts and import it. How baller is that? That's something else I just learned. Number 7, QR-code-generator. Number 8. All right. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I wrote this down. I learned this a couple of weeks ago about hiring people. I was talking to a superstar realtor, and he's like, hey, when Keller Williams hires someone for their office, I was like, okay, when Keller Williams hires someone for their office, they go through 30 interviews before they make a decision. And I was like, dang. At first, I kind of blew that off, and then I just marinated on that for a minute. I was like, that makes complete sense. Now, I'm not going to get 30 people, but man, I know that when I start hiring people, I usually I'm so in a hurry and I want to get this job done. I just start, I get 1 interview, 2 interviews, 3. By the time I hit 3 interviews, I've already kind of made a decision. And what I realized when I heard this from my homeboy, I was like, that makes sense, because it forces me to be patient. So I was telling my partner the other day, I was like, hey, when we interview somebody again for a position, let's go through 20 interviews. Minimum 10. I would like 15, but if we want to go to the next level, and it takes a lot of time, but we need to go through 30 interviews, because you never know, number 30 or number 20 or number 15 could be the person that was way better than number 1. And it really just impacted me. I'm like, that's my thing. I just want to get it done and check it off my list. Much love to all you HR people out there. You can giggle. I know. I thought it was easy. It's not, trying to find people and blah, blah, blah. So take this from the playbook from Keller Williams. Interview people, several people, and I've been working on some projects right now, and I've just forced myself, and I'm back on virtual assistants pretty heavy right now, and I've reached out to a minimum of 3 people before I move on. Number 9, being a developer. I'm tired on this episode, so I'm going to scratch that, but being a developer, you need to spend some time, and that leads into number 10. Don't start from scratch. You got to be a parasite. So 9 and 10 are kind of one. And I was going to go into this long, lengthy thing about being a developer and the process of that, and I'll cover that in another episode. If you have interest in that, I actually had 2 people just recently reach out to me from Facebook that saw that I'm building some stuff. Yes, I'm willing to answer your questions. I've answered a few on Facebook already. I'm not a super duper developer. I am not even a baby. I wouldn't even use the word developer. I don't even like that. I love the word investor. So dive deep into it. Spend some time before you just start calling people and asking them questions. Get some understanding of what a developer really is. But number 10, don't start from scratch. Be a parasite. And I have no idea where I got that from. I know that I got that from a personal development book. But listen, don't recreate. Try to, and I said this before, shadow somebody. Just suck on somebody. Find somebody, which I have recently on this development deal. Find that person, even if you got to pay for that person. And I'm even considering having like a mobile office just so I can be on the job site all the time, so I can soak it all in. And it's more of an idea. So hopefully this podcast helped you, benefited you. This is what I'm learning right now in the trenches of a real estate investor. If you want to connect, I'm about it. Go to savvyinvestors.com. I would love to connect with you. I love this comment I got from my homeboy in Florida. Doc hooked me up. He's like, he corrected me on some stuff in a loving manner, right? Because not everything I know is perfect. Again, little shout out to folks. Thanks for just being authentic. And, I want to learn. If I have hurt you or criticized you in some way, or I need a criticism, hey, man, feel the love and let somebody know. Whatever it is, go to savvypodcast.com or Savvy Investors. Find me on Facebook. Let's do it.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.